Alright, so today's movie review is The Wizard of Oz from 1939, starring Judy Garland and directed by Victor Fleming. Let me share some behind the scenes details from the film's IMDb page. Judy Garland found it difficult to be afraid of Margaret Hamilton because she was such a nice lady off camera. Another detail, many shots were trimmed down or edited out of the film because they were too intense for families and children. In particular, one deleted shot shows the tornado completely enveloping the family farmhouse. Also, later in the film, a lot of the Wicked Witch of the West scenes were either trimmed or deleted entirely, as Margaret Hamilton's performance was thought to be too frightening for audiences. Alright, so now let me get into my thoughts on the plot. The plot, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I really like it. I think this is a really good story overall, The Wizard of Oz. It's one of my favorites, especially as a kid. I've always loved this story. I had some comic books for it. I really, really like it. I also love that it's a good story of finding your courage, finding love, learning that you're smart, and appreciating what you already have. I think those are great things to learn and to appreciate and add into your life. And I think this movie shows it very, very well, even in a kind of cartoony fashion. I really appreciate that. I also love how we're not entirely sure if Oz is real or not. I'm personally of the opinion that Dorothy was dreaming all of this, and all the characters and whatnot in her head are just, caricatures that her mind created. And the main reason why I say that is so many of the characters that are in Oz you see in the very beginning of the film as just regular people, right? So I think it's all in her head. I don't think it's a real place at all. But even still, I think it's just a way of her mind wrapping around those different concepts I was talking about, of finding courage, finding love, appreciating what you have, appreciating that you're smart and all that. I think that's really cool. That's what's really interesting about this story. That's why I love it. And then, let's see, anything else? The only critique that I really have, and again, I still give this a 5, I think we spend too much time in Munchkinland. I would have liked to see more of Oz than just in Munchkinland. I think it's a good 20 minutes. It's a pretty long time in the movie. I would have liked less of that and more with the other parts of Oz, just me personally. But yeah, I love this story. 5 out of 5. Alright, let's move on to the acting. I also gave that a 5 out of 5. I love this cast. I think everyone did their roles perfectly here. Every single one of them fit the characters perfectly, especially Margaret Hamilton as the witch, the Wicked Witch of the West. That is so iconic. And I just thought everyone did so well. The only one that I didn't really like, but again, I still give it a 5. I've never liked the Cowardly Lion. I always thought he was kind of weird. Just the way, I don't remember his name, but the actor who's performing as the Cowardly Lion, I always thought he was weird. The put him up. I've never liked that. I've always been weirded out by that, even when I was a little kid. But overall, great cast, 5 out of 5. Alright, the directing. I'll be honest, I gave it a 5. I think Victor Fleming does an incredible job here. I am blown away that he was able to spend time working on this movie and on one of the other greatest movies of all time, Gone with the Wind. Now, King Vidor supposedly was kind of a ghost director who would help direct the scenes during the day while Victor would go over to Gone with the Wind. I don't know for sure. That's just one of those old Hollywood stories you hear about. But I still think he did incredible here. I love the choices he made, especially with showing Kansas being in sepia and then Oz being in color. I love that choice. I also love of having the actors from her real life be the characters that are in Oz. It's just the way it all fits together, I think, is really, really cool. I think everything flows very well. The characters, the setting and all that. It really does feel like we're in a different place, a very magical place. It does not feel like a set. I mean, there are a couple moments where you can tell there's a backdrop and whatnot, but for the most part, it's pretty immersive, and I think he did a great job here. So, 5 out of 5. All right, let's move on to cinematography and special effects. 5 out of 5. Look, it's amazing. The costumes are great. The sepia to color technique was really cool. And kind of on a side note on that, I read that they had an actress who was painted to look in that sepia color. They even had the lighting, everything like that set up in that room to look sepia, so that when she would open the door to go onto the color stage, then the real Judy Garland walks in the color world. I thought that was very clever. I never knew that until recently, so I think that's really cool how that flows so well. Um, Again, yeah, you could tell there's backdrops in a lot of the scenes, but I thought for the most part it looked really, really good. The costumes were really good. Just everything about it is just great and flows, and it just works so well. I think my favorite scene probably is that one I was just talking about with her walking into Oz for the first time. I thought that was a really cool transition into from Kansas to Oz. I've always liked that. I've always been impressed by that. So that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5. All right, so let's talk about the music. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Now, here's why. I like a lot of the songs. You know, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I think that's my favorite song from the movie. Probably one of my favorite ever, but definitely from this movie. I like the song, the very exact same song for introducing all the different characters, for the Lion, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man. I thought that was great. I don't like a lot of the Munchkin songs. That's where my hot take comes in. I think most of the Munchkin songs go on for way too long and are a bit annoying. I just don't like the Munchkins, alright? I'm sorry. I don't like the Munchkins. I think they're kind of creepy. I don't find them funny. I find them weird. I don't like them at all. And we spend a lot of time there, and I wanted more time outside of there in other parts of Oz. You know, I would have liked to spend more time in the actual Emerald City, too. We don't spend a lot of time there. It's very brief. So, yeah. Yeah, the other song I don't like, when they're in the wizard's, I guess his castle, the Cowardly Lion has his song. I think it's after they get, I don't remember exactly where it is. Because I already don't like him as a character, I hated that he has that song. I don't like that song. I think it's weird. I don't like Cowardly Lion. I don't like the way he's performed here. It's just too strange for me. Way over the top. That's why I gave it 4 out of 5. Alright, so tallying that all up, that brings my score to 4.8 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 5 out of 5. And that makes my critical score a 96%. So would I recommend this movie? Yes, I absolutely would. This is one of the best movies ever made. There's a reason why people keep talking about it, even to this day, almost annoyingly. But I think it is a genuinely really good film. I've watched it several times, starting as a little kid. I think this is one of those that I would always recommend to people if they want to know where to start watching old movies. This is a great one to start with. And then from here, you're like, well, let's say you like Judy Garland. Okay, then go and watch Meet Me in St. Louis. Okay, you like that one. Who directed that movie, right? And then just, before you know it, you've seen over 180 old movies and talking about them. So anyway, yeah, it's a great movie. Stellar cast. And what's funny is I watched the movie not long after I saw Wicked in theaters, so a few months back. And I think that movie and the play in general, now again, I grew up just listening to the music, so I didn't know the story exactly. I think that movie really captures the magic from this film. Even though I prefer this movie over that, I still think this captures it very, very well. Or I guess I think Wicked captures this very, very well. So anyway, yeah, so many movies owe a lot to The Wizard of Oz. You'll notice things that even movies like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, a lot of movies take a lot of, or owe a lot to The Wizard of Oz. And And yeah, those are my thoughts overall on it. Now let me show you my critically score for it. So graphic language wise, none. There's none at all. Violence, there's just some fighting and whatnot. I think the scariest thing is the Wicked Witch. So little kids will probably be scared of her. Nudity, sexual content, none. Political bias, none. Family friendly, 100%. This is a very family friendly film. I actually recommend showing this to kids. I think they would really like it a lot. Because I saw it for the first time when I was probably 7 or 8. I have a lot of memories watching it, so I definitely recommend showing it to kids. Alright, entertainment value? Absolutely. It's very entertaining. Very fun film. I highly recommend it. Alright, well those are my thoughts on The Wizard of Oz, and that's today's movie review.